Hello everyone, I'm Eternal Flame here, the brand new head of the GDA. Since you all liked my previous video about making entirely new plans in order to prepare for a Viltrumite war, another question came to mind, especially because of all the suggestions I got from the comments below. How can we upgrade our Guardians of the Globe? How can we make them better? Mainly because our Guardians of the Globe are right now only sort of just okay, if I'm being honest. And especially with how the season ended with the Immortal retiring as well as Duplicate, though if I'm being honest, Duplicate retiring might actually be a benefit to the team rather than a downside. But that's beside the point, with those two retiring as well as Darkwing now being in the Dark Dimension to try and hold down that Mark variant in there. All we really have is Black Samson, who might have his lightning powers back, though he never uses them for some reason, as well as Shapesmith, though I think it's implied at the end of the season that the team as well as the Guardians of the Globe are going to merge back with all of the chaos that ended up happening from the Invincible War and Cecil trying to get Invincible to make himself a new team. But he should also be able to count people like Robot, Monster Girl, as well as Bulletproof as members of the team. So with that in mind, I'm going to have a total of 2 goals. The first goal is going to be to add new people to the Guardians of the Globe that could be potentially strong heroes, and the second goal is going to be figuring out how to upgrade them as best as we can so we have a better chance against whichever Viltrumite comes to the planet next, if any come at all. So yeah, without further ado, let's start going over them. However, I am going to have a criteria with this video. Mainly because we obviously just can't recruit every single person on the planet. Like, there are going to be people who would certainly have really good skill, but they are definitely not going to be willing to work with the GDA no matter what we offer them. For example, there is no chance we're getting Multipole on our side considering how anti-government Multipole was. And well, Duplicate already tried and that didn't work, so I doubt we're going to be able to make much of a difference. And the second restriction is going to be no using any dead characters directly. Mainly because they're dead, so they themselves are not going to be around anymore to recruit, though they can still be used for other reasons, and more importantly, we haven't figured out time travel yet, even though we know it's possible. You ever just think about how crazy it must be to live in Invincible knowing the fact that both the multiverse and time travel is real? Like, it must suck. But more importantly, we're not just going to stop at characters either. In the world of Invincible, there are several avenues to power. A lot of people's powers come from direct experiments, and just magic is confirmed to be a thing in the world of Invincible. So as a little bit of a side project for the future, I want to see what we can potentially try and replicate for the GDA soldiers, and potentially maybe add them to the Guardians of the Globe as well. Now, of course, not all of them are going to be possible to replicate, but it might be good to add them. But up first, I'm going to go over the members I do want to recruit into the Guardians of the Globe. Which up first, the 4 that I have in mind are going to be the goons that Machine had hired, those 4 people that he recruited in order to fight alongside him. Not Battle Beasts, but the people that he had fighting against Invincible and the other previous Guardians of the Globe. Whose names are Kursk, which is the lightning guy, Magmaniac, which is the guy who could turn himself into lava, Furnace, who has plasma powers and his entire body is just basically plasma, so he has to surround himself in a furnace that he constantly wears, and Tethered Tyrant, which is the guy who has the octopus tendril stuff. During the Machine Head battle, they already were displaying some really good feats, such as being able to take several hits from a holding back Invincible, as well as being able to fight against an overwhelmed Titan. Even Furnace didn't need to participate for a bit, but he did manage to do some damage to Robot. But more importantly, this offers something the team is severely lacking, that being range. Other than currently Robot, the entire team doesn't have access to ranged capabilities, but now they have lightning projectiles, energy projectiles, as well as lava projectiles they can launch out at people. Not to mention Tethered Tyrant, who would be able to offer some good support as well. However, more importantly, I do want to upgrade their gear. For starters, we're going to give them entirely different superhero armor. I don't want them to be recognized as assassins because we already have enough chaos going on in the world. Rather have them be recognized as new heroes. We might also be able to enhance their physicals even more, as well as give them even more durability. We know power suits are already a thing in the world of Invincible because of Black Samson wearing a power suit, so why not give it to these guys in order to enhance their powers? In particular with Kursk, our electric guy, we're going to give him access to the same type of lightning disc that Powerplex used, in order to try and enhance their powers even further. Now, the reason why I'm not going to add Powerplex to this team, by the way, is because Powerplex is an enemy of Invincible, and he hates, and I am not foolish enough to try and get Invincible against us, because if Powerplex is on our team, he is going to want Invincible dead. And as strong as Powerplex is, that's not worth turning Invincible against us. Now, I'm not quite sure how to upgrade the other people's powers yet, but we're definitely going to figure out a way on how to do so. And especially considering there are geniuses like Robot and D.A. Sinclair here, they're definitely going to be able to figure out a way to do so. Which, speaking of, now that we're on the topic of D.A. Sinclair, we're going to start out with my next plan. Now, I already know D.A. Sinclair is focused on making a bunch of Invincible variants into Reanimen. That's pretty simple, that should remain as D.A. Sinclair's main focus. However, we should also have access to the bodies of the Muller twins. After all, there are so many Muller twin bodies that are not completely and absolutely destroyed that we could add to our team. So let's turn them into Reanimen, put them in armor to hide their appearances in order to call them in as backup. After all, it should be remembered, the Muller twins do have enhanced physicals in comparison to normal, considering they are also able to somewhat damage Invincible in Season 2. Who Invincible in Season 2 is one of, if not the strongest hero on the planet, considering he is stronger than the Immortal by that point. And in my opinion, doing that to the Muller twins shouldn't be too difficult, so yeah, just turn them into Reanimen and have them be on the battlefield, with some members of the GDA just watching over them and having them under controls. You can even have some members of the team, which we find out at the end of Season 3 that DA Sinclair does actually have a team, do that while DA Sinclair focuses on making the new tech as a little bit of a break, and then go back onto making the Invincible Reanimen. Furthermore, if possible, we should figure out a way to replicate their tech, mainly because at the end of Season 1, we do see they have access to the Muller twins tech, since Robot ended up snitching on them and called them to that location. So we're going to try and figure out a way to take their tech, though I'm not too certain that we can figure it out that easy. Now up next is trying to recruit more heroes, including some that fought in the Invincible War, most importantly Tech Jacket. Now I'm not sure how we can recruit it, but whatever needs to be done to recruit Tech Jacket, considering this man managed to take out an Invincible solo, get that done, because we need that man on our side. Now up next we're going to go to Doc Seismic. Now I have no intentions whatsoever to work with Doc Seismic. That man is completely insane and wants to destroy society, and almost killed all of the heroes, so no. However, lucky for us, Doc Seismic doesn't have any direct powers himself. Instead, all of his powers directly come from the wristband that he wears, which means his power comes from the power of technology. So we are robbing those wristbands and putting it onto a member of the GDA to utilize, and now we have access to the Earthquake powers, which remember, when they were focused heavily enough, it was even able to knock out a post-training Season 3 Invincible. Not to mention the fact that we are going to use those wristbands to have communications with the Earth more properly in order to talk with the beasts that exist within the Earth, mainly because those beasts were able to somewhat damage Season 3 Invincible too, which that is really impressive and implies the Earth has some level of defenses that can be helpful, though it's only really going to be a priority when a Viltrumite does actually come, rather than just us using it for every single thing. Though maybe we might be able to speak with the Earth and ask it to bring up some of those beasts if they're dead, specifically the dead ones, so we can try and figure out some way to recreate their shells and stuff in order to utilize for our people. Basically, I'm trying to keep diplomacy as well as possible, and also need to put in perspective for them that if they don't give this to us, we're likely going to be much more screwed against the Viltrumite Empire when they come, considering how much damage they did. Like in particular, I want to study whatever that cocoon is made out of, considering it was able to contain Invincible, which while it seems to be durable on the inside, it doesn't seem to be durable on the outside, considering the Reanimen were able to open it from the outside. Either way, I want to study that material and be able to add that later. Back on the topic of what to add next to the Guardians of the Globe in order to upgrade them even further. Because now let's focus on our own members for a little bit. Number 1. I know Monster Girl is now able to physically transform and not age herself. I still feel like we should put the Monster Girl iron armor on them, because we already have it pre-built, might as well, plus it would give an additional physical buff as well as an additional defensive buff especially, because it's going to give extra armor, so might as well. But yeah, that was my ideas on how to upgrade the Guardians of the Globe and make them better in the immediate. I want to more importantly start developing training methods in order to make each of them better, figure out the limits on what their powers are, and how to make sure we can surpass those limits. Because Earth definitely has some good resources, we just need to figure out a way to upgrade them. And now my final plan to upgrade the Guardians of the Globe is to put two of our greatest minds, being DA Sinclair and Robot, together, to create a new program of people who are enhanced by Reanimen and then have Robot's armor around them. Effectively, we're going to create an army of Iron Mans that are superhuman in physical body. Now of course I doubt that any of them are going to be as good as Robot, but at the same time it would be rather useful. Furthermore, if any of them do end up dying, we can end up allowing Robot to take control over their body and just use that in combat. Basically hire some more people who are more trained in physical combat and better at combat, give them the opportunity to become Reanimen if they want to in order to cybernetically enhance themselves, as well as this armor to wear, and bam, the Guardians of the Globe is even more upgraded. After all, it should be remembered, normal human Reanimen are kind of just straight up above most of the members of the Guardians, because when the Reanimen ended up fighting against Mark, none of the Guardians of the Globe member other than Shrinking Ray were able to beat any of the Reanimen, and only she beat them because she took advantage of their wiring. So yeah, basically my plan to upgrade the Guardians of the Globe falls into 3 camps. Number 1, hire previous villains that we know are only doing it for money. And then more importantly, when we hire those villains, make them not appear as villainous anymore. Change their costumes, upgrade their uniforms. Basically, we don't want them to be recognized as villains because the world has already gone through enough chaos. 2. Double down on the Reanimen program. Don't just focus on the Invincible variants, but focus on the fact that we have other superhumans that are dead and turn them into Reanimen. After all, it should enhance them even further. 3, and this is the final one, figure out how to recreate villain technology. A lot of villains, surprisingly in Invincible, have really good tech, so if we could figure out how to recreate them and add them to the people in the squad, we'd be able to upgrade them massively. And also, of course, rather important, let's figure out how to upgrade the members of the Guardians of the Globe. This is a fourth thing that's not really important towards this video, but even if we're not going to get Mark to be able to work with the GDA, still allow him to train. Suggest that he still uses their training halls, because Mark should know by now by this point that he needs to get stronger. He barely beat Conquest with the help of Eve and Oliver, and he wouldn't have beaten Conquest without Conquest just being himself. So yeah, Mark, even if he doesn't want to work directly with the Guardians of the Globe, give him access to the training hall and try and convince him that he needs to use it. But that was my TED Talk on how to upgrade the Guardians of the Globe.